The holographic message flickered to life in the United Nations Security Council chamber, casting an eerie blue glow across the faces of Earth's most powerful leaders. The being that appeared before them was unlike anything they had ever seen, a towering, multi-limbed creature with iridescent skin and eyes that seemed to hold the depths of the cosmos within them. People of Earth, the alien's voice resonated, a mix of melodious tones and grating frequencies that set everyone's teeth on edge. I am Xarlath, emissary of the Stellar Dominion. Your planet has been noticed by our great empire, and we offer you a choice. Join us or face annihilation. The chamber erupted into chaos as diplomats and world leaders shouted over one another, their faces contorted with fear and outrage. UN Secretary General Amara Okafor raised her hand, silencing the room with a gesture. Emissary Xarlath, she said, her voice steady despite the trembling of her hands, we are a peaceful planet. Surely there is room for negotiation. The alien's laughter was like shattering glass. Negotiation. You misunderstand, tiny beings. This is not a dialogue. You have one Earth month to surrender your planet's resources and pledge allegiance to the Dominion. Resist, and we will turn your world to ash. As the hologram faded, the weight of the ultimatum settled over the room like a suffocating blanket. For hours, heated debates raged. Some argued for immediate surrender, hoping to spare Earth from destruction. Others called for resistance, unwilling to bend to the will of an alien force. In a secured bunker beneath Washington, D.C., President Elena Rodriguez convened an emergency meeting with her top advisors and military brass. The atmosphere was tense, filled with the acrid smell of fear and cold sweat. What are our options? She asked, her eyes scanning the grim faces around her. General Weizong, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, cleared his throat. Madam President, based on the technological capabilities demonstrated by the Stellar Dominion, our current military assets would be insufficient. So you're saying we have no chance? The President's voice was sharp. Dr. Aisha Patel, the nation's foremost astrophysicist, leaned forward. Not necessarily. We may not match their firepower, but humanity has always excelled at innovation under pressure. If we could unite the world's scientific communities, there's a chance we could develop defenses. As discussions continued around the globe, a spark of defiance began to ignite. Humanity had faced extinction-level threats before, from ice ages to pandemics, from world wars to climate disasters. Each time, they had adapted, survived, and emerged stronger. In the streets of every major city, crowds gathered. What began as protests and panic slowly transformed into rallies of unity and determination. The threat of annihilation had done what centuries of diplomacy could not. It had united the human race. As the deadline approached, Earth's leaders reconvened. The decision they would make would alter the course of human history forever. Submit and live as slaves, or fight and risk everything for freedom. In the end, it wasn't even close. Send our response to the Stellar Dominion, President Rodriguez commanded, her eyes blazing with resolve. Tell them Earth chooses to fight. As the message was transmitted into the depths of space, humanity began to prepare for the greatest battle of its existence. The Earthen Accord was born, a pact to defend their home, their freedom, and their very existence against the stars themselves. The war for Earth was about to begin. The world held its breath as Earth's defiant message echoed across the cosmos. In the days that followed, an unprecedented wave of global cooperation swept the planet. Former enemies became allies, pooling resources and knowledge in a desperate bid for survival. Dr. Aisha Patel found herself at the helm of Operation Aegis, a global initiative to develop defensive technologies against the impending alien threat. In a sprawling underground complex beneath the Himalayas, scientists from every nation worked tirelessly, their differences set aside in the face of extinction. We need to think beyond conventional warfare, Aisha addressed her team, her voice echoing in the cavernous lab. The Dominion expects us to be primitive. Let's use that assumption against them. Meanwhile, in orbit, Astronauts from a dozen space agencies worked to fortify the International Space Station, transforming it into humanity's first line of defense. Colonel Yuki Tanaka, a veteran of 3 space missions, oversaw the installation of experimental shield generators. "We're building a castle in the sky," she mused, gazing at the blue marble below. "Let's hope it holds." On the ground, cities were transformed into fortresses. Skyscrapers became armories, subway systems converted to bunkers. In the Amazon rainforest, indigenous tribes worked alongside tech moguls to establish hidden bases, blending ancient wisdom with cutting-edge technology. But not everyone rallied to the cause. In the shadows, a movement grew. Those who believed submission was the only path to survival. Led by charismatic billionaire Victor Crane, they called themselves the Concordat. Why sacrifice billions for the sake of pride? Crane's voice boomed across pirated airwaves. The Dominion offers us a place among the stars. We should embrace it. President Rodriguez and her allies worked tirelessly to counter this narrative, knowing that unity was their only hope. In a historic address broadcast to every corner of the globe, she stood before a diverse assembly of world leaders. "We face a threat greater than any in human history," she declared, her voice unwavering. "But we also face our greatest opportunity. Today, we stand not as nations, not as races or creeds, but as Earthlings. Our differences, which once divided us, now become our strength. Our diversity is our weapon." As she spoke, screens behind her showcased the incredible innovations born from global collaboration. Plasma shields, gravity manipulators, and energy weapons that seemed like science fiction mere weeks ago. "The Stellar Dominion sees us as primitive, easy prey," Rodriguez continued, her eyes blazing. "They expect us to kneel, but they don't know humanity. We've faced our own demons and survived. We've stood on the brink of self-destruction and pulled back. We've reached for the stars long before we knew what was out there. We are humanity, resilient, adaptable, and unbreakable." A roar of approval shook the chamber, echoed by millions watching around the world. In that moment, fear transformed into determination. The speech became a rallying cry, replayed in bunkers and battleships, in labs and living rooms. As the deadline drew near, Earth buzzed with activity. In Kazakhstan, enormous railguns capable of launching projectiles into orbit were erected. Beneath the Pacific, a network of underwater bases prepared to unleash swarms of autonomous drones. And in low Earth orbit, a fleet of hastily retrofitted spacecraft stood ready, crewed by volunteers fully aware of the odds against them. Humanity had chosen defiance, knowing it might lead to destruction. But in that defiance, they found unity, purpose, and a strength they never knew they possessed. As the stars wheeled overhead, Earth waited, a tiny blue marble spinning in the vast cosmic ocean, its inhabitants united in their stand against the coming storm. The Stellar Dominion was about to learn that conquering humanity would be anything but easy. The void of space erupted with blinding light as the Stellar Dominion's fleet materialized at the edge of the solar system. Thousands of ships, each dwarfing the largest human vessels, emerged from faster-than-light travel. Their sleek biomechanical designs pulsed with an otherworldly energy, a stark contrast to the improvised Earth fleet that stood in their path. Admiral Zara Chen, commander of Earth's United Space Forces, stood on the bridge of the EDF Resilience, humanity's flagship. Her weathered face remained stoic as she surveyed the holographic display of the incoming armada. "So much for hoping they were bluffing," she muttered. "All ships, battle stations. Remember your training. Remember what we're fighting for." As the Dominion fleet approached, they broadcast a final message: "Kneel or be obliterated. This is your last warning." Earth's response came in the form of a massive electromagnetic pulse generated by a network of orbital satellites. The invisible wave washed over the front lines of the alien fleet, shorting out systems and leaving several ships drifting. For a moment, silence reigned. Then all hell broke loose. The space around Earth lit up with energy weapons and missile trails. The Dominion's advanced shields absorbed much of the initial barrage, but Earth's forces had surprises in store. Swarms of micro-satellites, each armed with a miniature railgun, peppered the alien ships with hypervelocity projectiles, exploiting weak points in their defenses. On the Resilience's bridge, Admiral Chen barked orders as damage reports flooded in. Concentrate fire on their lead vessels. Launch Ravian squadrons to intercept their fighters. The Ravian units, remote autonomous vehicles for extraterrestrial combat, deployed from Earth's ships, piloted by operators safely ensconced in bunkers planetside. These agile craft darted between the lumbering Dominion warships, striking with precision. But the aliens' technological superiority soon began to tell. Energy beams lanced through Earth's defensive lines, vaporizing ships and stations. The space around the planet became a graveyard of twisted metal and frozen bodies. We can't hold them indefinitely, Chen's second-in-command warned. We don't need to, Chen replied, her eyes fixed on a countdown timer. We just need to hold them long enough. On Earth, Dr. Aisha Patel watched the battle unfold with growing anxiety. In her lab deep beneath the Himalayas, she and her team worked feverishly to bring their secret weapon online. Power fluctuations stabilizing, one of her assistants called out. Gravitational field is forming. Aisha allowed herself a grim smile. Initiate Project Singularity. In orbit, a massive station that had been disguised as a communications satellite suddenly came to life. It generated an artificial gravity well, immensely powerful but precisely controlled. Dominion ships caught in its influence found themselves being pulled off course, their own mass becoming a liability. Now, Admiral Chen ordered. Earth's forces concentrated their fire on the disoriented alien ships, scoring decisive hits. But the Dominion was quick to adapt. Their flagship, a behemoth that dwarfed even their largest warships, moved into position. It unleashed a beam of energy so intense it visibly distorted spacetime, aimed directly at Earth. The planet's hastily constructed shield grid strained under the assault. Cracks appeared in the energy barrier, and the beam lanced through, carving a molten gash across the face of the Sahara Desert. Millions watched in horror as the battle raged above, the night sky alight with the flash of explosions visible even from the ground. In cities and shelters, in fields and forests, humanity held its collective breath. The first day of battle drew to a close, with both sides bloody but unbowed. Earth had survived the initial onslaught, but at a terrible cost. As reports of casualties poured in, the grim reality set in. This was only the beginning. In the debris-strewn orbit, Admiral Chen surveyed the damage. "Send word to all commands," she said, her voice heavy with the weight of command. "We've bloodied their nose. Now we show them what humanity can really do." The battle for Earth had begun in earnest, and the fate of humanity hung in the balance. As dawn broke over a scared Earth, humanity prepared to launch its most daring offensive yet. The initial shock of alien attack had worn off, replaced by a steely determination that spread from the highest echelons of command to the civilian volunteers working tirelessly in underground factories. In a hardened bunker beneath the ruins of Geneva, the War Council convened. Holographic representations of military and scientific leaders from around the globe flickered to life, their faces etched with exhaustion and resolve. "We've analyzed the data from yesterday's engagement," Dr. Aisha Patel began, her voice hoarse from sleepless nights. "The Dominion ships are biomechanical in nature. They can regenerate damage, but this process leaves them vulnerable for short periods." General Weizong nodded grimly. "Then that's our window. We hit them hard, we hit them fast, and we don't let up." President Rodriguez, her suit rumpled from days of wear, leaned forward. "What's the plan?" Admiral Chen's hologram gestured, bringing up a 3D map of the solar system. "Operation Trojan Horse. We use our remaining stealth ships to infiltrate their fleet. Meanwhile, we launch a full frontal assault as a distraction." The plan was audacious, bordering on suicidal. But in the face of extinction, audacity was all humanity had left. As Earth's remaining ships engaged the Dominion fleet in a furious battle near the Moon, a handful of stealth vessels slipped past the alien defenses. Coated in metamaterials that bent light and absorbed radar, they were invisible to all but the most advanced sensors. Aboard the lead infiltration ship, the EDF Shadow, Captain Yuki Tanaka and her elite team of Space Marines prepared for boarding action. They wore newly developed exosuits, a fusion of human ingenuity and reverse-engineered alien tech. "Remember," Tanaka addressed her team, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. "We're not just fighting for Earth. We're fighting for every species that's ever been subjugated by the Dominion. Today, we show the galaxy that tyranny has its limits." The Shadow latched onto the hull of a Dominion cruiser, burning through its outer layer with plasma torches. As they breached the alien vessel, they were met not with the expected resistance, but with an environment utterly alien to human experience. The ship's corridors pulsed with bioluminescent light, and the air was thick with spores that their suits barely filtered out. "Stay focused," Tanaka ordered as her team moved deeper into the ship. "Find the central nervous system and plant the package." Meanwhile, in Earth orbit, the battle raged with unprecedented ferocity. Human ships, vastly outnumbered, fought with desperate courage. Ravian squadrons darted between capital ships, drawing fire and creating chaos in the Dominion's formations. On the ground, Dr. Patel and her team worked feverishly to bring more weapons online. Massive rail guns on every continent fired salvos into orbit, their hypervelocity rounds guided by AI to strike at the Dominion's weak points. But the aliens were far from beaten. Their flagship, having repaired the damage from the previous day's battle, began systematically targeting Earth's defense installations. One by one, ground-based weapons fell silent, overwhelmed by the sheer power of the Dominion's technology. As the battle hung in the balance, Captain Tanaka's team reached the core of the alien cruiser. What they found there would change the course of the war. "Dr. Patel, are you seeing this?" Tanaka's breathless voice crackled over the comms. The feed from her helmet cam showed a vast chamber, filled with what looked like thousands of alien beings suspended in glowing pods. They're not just biomechanical," Patel gasped. "The ship's asterisk are asterisk the aliens, or the aliens are the ships. It's a symbiosis we never imagined." This revelation sent shockwaves through the human command. The Dominion wasn't just an invading army. It was an entire ecosystem, ancient and utterly alien. As Tanaka's team planted their devastating payload, a virus designed to disrupt the aliens' neural networks, they realized the true weight of their actions. This was no longer just a battle for survival. It was first contact, comprehension, and conflict, all rolled into one cataclysmic moment. The fate of two species now hung in the balance, with the outcome far from certain. The virus planted by Captain Tanaka's team spread through the Dominion's fleet like wildfire. Ship after ship fell silent, their biomechanical systems thrown into chaos. But the victory was short-lived. The Dominion's flagship, somehow immune to the attack, retaliated with a fury that shook the very foundations of space. "All ships, break formation." Admiral Chen's voice crackled over the comms as a wave of energy erupted from the alien mothership. Earth vessels scattered, but not all were fast enough. Dozens of ships, both human and Dominion, were caught in the blast, reduced to subatomic particles in an instant. On Earth, the effects were catastrophic. The energy wave disrupted the planet's magnetic field, causing widespread blackouts and communication failures. In the war room, President Rodriguez watched in horror as cities around the globe went dark. "We need a new strategy," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "We can't win this through brute force." Dr. Patel, who had been analyzing the data from Tanaka's mission, suddenly straightened. "Maybe we don't have to," she said, her eyes gleaming with a dangerous idea. "What if we could communicate with them?" The notion seemed absurd in the midst of such devastation, but desperation bred innovation. While the battle raged in orbit, Paddle and her team worked feverishly to decipher the alien neural patterns they'd captured. In space, the tide of battle had shifted to the asteroid belt. Earth forces, battered but unbroken, used the debris field as cover, employing hit-and-run tactics against the larger Dominion ships. Captain Tanaka, her stealth ship now revealed, led a daring series of raids, striking at the aliens' weakened vessels. "Keep them off balance," she ordered her squadron. "Don't let them regroup." But the true turning point came not from a military maneuver, but from an unexpected quarter. In a hidden lab beneath the Pacific Ocean, a young linguist named Zhen Liu had been working with an AI to decode the alien communications. As the battle reached its crescendo, she made a breakthrough. "It's not just a language," she reported, her voice trembling with excitement. "It's music. Their entire communication system is based on harmonic frequencies." This revelation was quickly relayed to the front lines. Admiral Chen, her flagship barely holding together, made a fateful decision. "All ships, switch to frequency ZL1, she commanded. "Broadcast on all channels." What followed was unlike anything in the history of warfare. From every human ship, every ground installation, every device capable of transmitting, a complex melody erupted into space. It was a symphony of humanity, part mathematical equation, part primal scream, part plea for understanding. For a moment, the universe held its breath. Then, impossibly, the Dominion fleet began to respond. Ship by ship, they joined the chorus, their alien harmonies intertwining with the human broadcast. The resultant music was beautiful and terrifying, a duet between worlds that had been moments away from mutual annihilation. On the Dominion flagship, something extraordinary happened. The ship's very structure began to shift, forming what could only be described as a face, ancient, wise, and utterly alien. "We hear you," a voice boomed, not through any communication channel, but directly into the minds of every human engaged in the conflict. "For eons, we have traveled the stars, absorbing, conquering, growing. Never have we encountered a species that could sing back." The implications were staggering. The Dominion wasn't just a conquering force. It was a vast, living entity, ancient beyond human comprehension. And humanity, through its desperate creativity, had found a way to speak to it as equals. As the melody continued to resonate through space, a ceasefire tentatively took hold. On Earth and in orbit, humans looked to the stars with a mix of fear and hope. This wasn't the end of the conflict, but it was a beginning. The first true dialogue between humanity and the cosmos. In the debris-strewn battlefield of the asteroid belt, Captain Tanaka allowed herself a moment of wonder. "We came looking for a fight," she mused, and found a conversation instead. The war wasn't over, but its nature had fundamentally changed. Humanity stood on the brink of a new era, one that would redefine its place in the universe. As the cosmic symphony between humanity and the stellar Dominion resonated across the solar system, ripples of its impact spread far beyond Earth's borders. The once monolithic alien force began to show signs of discord, its unified front cracking under the weight of this unprecedented encounter. On the bridge of the EDF Resilience, Admiral Chen watched in awe as sections of the Dominion fleet began to move independently, some maintaining aggressive postures while others appeared to be backing away from Earth. "They're disagreeing," she murmured, scarcely believing her eyes. Dr. Patel's voice crackled over the comms. "It's more than that, Admiral. We're picking up multiple distinct patterns in their communications. It's as if different factions within the Dominion are emerging." The revelation sent shockwaves through Earth's leadership. The stellar Dominion, long thought to be a singular, unstoppable force, was fracturing before their eyes. In the war room, President Rodriguez seized on this development. "This is our chance," she declared. "If we can amplify these divisions, we might be able to negotiate from a position of strength." But even as Earth's leaders scrambled to capitalize on this turn of events, the situation in space grew increasingly chaotic. Dominion ships began to clash with one another, their weapons turning on their own kind in a spectacle that left human observers stunned. Captain Tanaka, leading a reconnaissance mission near Mars, reported back with urgency. The Dominion fleet is in disarray. Some ships are retreating. Others are forming defensive clusters. A significant faction seems to be rallying around the flagship. As the Dominion's internal conflict escalated, a new transmission boomed across all frequencies. The alien voice, now tinged with what could only be described as emotion, addressed both its own kind and humanity. For eons, we have moved as one, absorbing and expanding. But these humans, they have awakened something long dormant within us. Individuality. Choice. We are no longer of one mind. The message sent shockwaves through both fleets. For humanity, it was a glimpse into the alien psychology they had been fighting against. For the Dominion, it was nothing short of revolutionary. On Earth, the implications of this schism were not lost on anyone. Dr. Liu, the linguist who had first cracked the alien communication code, worked feverishly with her team to understand and classify the different factions emerging within the Dominion. "We're identifying at least 3 distinct groups," she reported. "One seems intent on continuing the invasion, another is advocating for withdrawal, and a third wants to establish peaceful contact." The next few hours were crucial. As the Dominion grappled with its internal divisions, humanity faced a choice: press their advantage militarily, or seize this moment for diplomacy. In a bold move, President Rodriguez made a decision that would alter the course of history. "Prepare a delegation," she ordered. "We're going to attempt direct face-to-face contact with the Dominion leadership." The risks were enormous, but the potential rewards were even greater. As Earth's diplomatic team prepared for an unprecedented meeting aboard a neutral vessel in lunar orbit, the planet held its collective breath. Captain Tanaka's voice summed up the sentiments of many. "We came into this expecting to fight for our survival. Now we might be on the brink of changing the galaxy itself." As the human delegation shuttled towards their rendezvous with destiny, the fractured Dominion fleet loomed in the background. The outcome of this meeting would determine not just the fate of Earth, but potentially the future of interstellar relations. The universe watched and waited as 2 vastly different species prepared to truly meet for the first time, not as conquerors and conquered, but as equals in the cosmic dance. The next chapter in galactic history was about to be written, and humanity, against all odds, had earned its place at the table. The lunar orbit shimmered with an otherworldly light as the human delegation's ship approached the massive Dominion vessel. President Rodriguez, flanked by Dr. Patel, Admiral Chen, and a small team of Earth's brightest minds, stood at the airlock, their hearts pounding with a mix of fear and anticipation. As the airlocks engaged and the doors slid open, they found themselves face to face with the Dominion's representatives. The aliens were a sight beyond imagination. Towering, luminescent beings that seemed to shift and flow like living starlight. "We welcome you," the lead alien intoned, its voice resonating directly in their minds. "We are Zorak, speaker for the consensus." What followed was a dialogue unlike any in human history. For hours, the 2 species exchanged ideas, explained concepts, and grappled with vast differences in perception and existence. The Dominion, it turned out, was a collective consciousness spanning thousands of years and countless absorbed species. Earth's resistance had awakened long-dormant individualities within this collective. As the negotiations progressed, it became clear that the future would be neither simple domination nor all-out war. Instead, a new paradigm was emerging, one of coexistence and mutual growth. "We offer not subjugation," Zorak communicated, "but partnership. Your species has shown qualities we have forgotten. Adaptability, creativity, the strength of individual will. These are traits the galaxy needs." President Rodriguez, her voice steady despite the enormity of the moment, responded, "And we have much to learn from you. Your technology, your cosmic knowledge, your ability to unite disparate beings into a greater whole." As the talks concluded, a historic accord was struck. The Stellar Dominion would withdraw its invasion fleet, recognizing Earth's sovereignty. In exchange, humanity would join a new galactic council, offering its unique perspectives and innovations to the cosmic community. But the agreement came with challenges. Not all factions within the Dominion accepted this new reality. A splinter group, led by hardliners who saw humanity as a threat, vowed to continue the fight. Earth, too, faced division, with some viewing any alien presence as an ongoing danger. As the human delegation returned to Earth, they were met with a mixture of jubilation and trepidation. The planet had been forever changed. Cities lay in ruins, millions had perished, and the very concept of humanity's place in the universe had been irrevocably altered. In the months that followed, the process of rebuilding began, not just of infrastructure, but of entire worldviews. Earth's nations, having united in the face of extinction, now work together to integrate alien technologies and prepare for their new role on the galactic stage. Dr. Patel led efforts to adapt Dominion biomechanical innovations to heal Earth's wounded ecosystems. Captain Tanaka, now Admiral Tanaka, oversaw the creation of a new space fleet that combined human ingenuity with alien tech, and Dr. Liu's linguistic breakthroughs paved the way for a new era of interstellar communication. 1 year after the invasion, on a rebuilt platform in Geneva, President Rodriguez addressed a global audience with the message broadcast to the stars. Today, we stand not just as Earthlings, but as citizens of a vast and wondrous cosmos, she declared. We faced annihilation and emerged stronger, not just through force of arms, but through the power of understanding and a courage to embrace the unknown. As her words echoed across Earth and beyond, humanity looked to the stars with new eyes. The universe was vaster and more complex than they had ever imagined, filled with dangers and wonders in equal measure. But for the first time, they faced it not as a small, isolated world, but as a rising power ready to take its place among the celestial community. The Earthen Accord had begun as a desperate stand against extinction. It ended as humanity's first step into a larger universe, forever changing the course of galactic history. As night fell on Earth, its cities glowing with a mix of human and alien lights, the planet spun on, battered but unbroken, forever changed, and filled with boundless potential for the cosmic journey ahead.